Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about the Heroes of the Storm getting put on life support again. And the reason being is my last video I made talking about the whole thing, and I'll obviously link to that at the end of the video in case you want to see that. But long story short, Blizzard just put out a blog post a couple of days ago talking about how Heroes of the Storm is pretty much going to get put on life support. They're taking developers and funding from it, and they're still going to release content, but they're kind of just trying to set it up in the long term. And a big part of this story is that not only are they canceling like the college kind of esport Heroes of the Storm thing, Heroes of the Dorm, they're canceling the entire whole pro scene HGC. So in 2019 there's not going to be Heroes of the Storm esports pretty much. There might be a couple tournaments here and there, but it's gone. And originally when I made the video, the announcement came out, there were a lot of, it was fresh news. I made a video about it, talking about it, and then it went up. And then the longer the video was out, I started to see more and more posts talking about how terrible this was for people actually in the industry. So the players, the coaches, the team managers, the sponsors, just everybody involved had a really bad time with this announcement, because apparently they were not given, they weren't told in advance this was happening. And in fact, by a lot of counts, they were told up to weeks ago that 2019 Here's the Storm was still going to be a thing for esports. And here's a video from one of the coaches, and he does a lot of stuff. He's pretty huge. I'll link to him in the description down below. But here's what he was saying about just finding out that it was a thing.
I was straight up told by Blizzard employees at BlizzCon, and all of Tempo Storm thought this same thing. Well, of course we thought it because we were told it by people who work at fucking Blizzard, that the HGC was going to be the same, funding equal or greater for next year. A little bit of different roster rules, but that's about it.
And so as you can see, they didn't know. A couple weeks ago, they were told it was still going to be a thing. And in making that first video, I thought about the, implications that the esports side had, it being canceled. I was like, oh, that sucks. But in my mind, I was thinking that they had more time to actually know that they were pretty much losing all of their jobs and their entire careers were just over in an instant. And I made some unfortunate choice of words in that first video. When I was reading the blog post, I talked about how I don't appreciate it, but I at least appreciate the transparency with it. And now that I realize the whole implications of everything going on, I realize this isn't transparency at all. This is them screwing over so many content creators. They didn't even, not only did they not have the courage or anything to tell people this was happening before, so they could have told these people, they could have told them months in advance that the esports scene was going to not be a thing in 2019. But not only did they not do that, as of a couple weeks ago, they were telling people that this scene was still going to be a thing. And it's a little ridiculous. And I understand this is probably one of just a stupid business decision that was kind of made last minute, because I'm assuming the Blizzard employees that were telling everybody that the scene was still going to be a thing in 2019, I'm assuming they weren't lying. I think it was kind of just a business decision that they were forced to make by higher ups in Blizzard, because that's how big game companies work. And I don't think there's any bad intentions on the developers that were telling them that esports was still going to be a thing. It's just a stupid business decision, but it sucks. And I want to read this tweet by Liam, Here's the Storm. And this really hit home how bad the situation was. For the past 3 years, I've committed 8 to 10 hours a day into Here's the Storm to improve to make it into the HGC one day. I even dropped out of college to pursue my dreams. Finally, I did it and was going to be playing for Endemic Esports as offlane in 2019. Now I'm told it's canceled. I'm so sad. So here you have someone putting so much work and effort into this game, and they finally make it in, and then it's not a thing anymore. And I understand the esport industry, especially as a pro player, is a pretty volatile market. It's a really scary, dangerous place to have a career in, because you're relying on somebody else. You're relying on the company to keep making the game, to keep profiting off of the game, because the game developers don't really care about you necessarily. They're wanting to make sure their game makes money, and a lot of the times they make money by having a big esports scene. So a lot of the times those kind of goals align. But if they don't want to support the esports scene, they're just not going to. And if you have your entire livelihood on the game, that kind of sucks, and that happens. But it's the fact that this was all last minute. The announcement that we got, that is when people found out that they didn't have careers anymore, that they literally just woke up one day and were like, oh, okay, just my entire career that I've been working on for the last 3 years, that's just gone. It's just over. And now that I fully understand all of this, I feel really bad about not talking about it more in my Here's the Storm video that kind of encompassed the whole news story, and that's why I thought it was so important to make this video, because it is a pretty big thing. I mean, we have, by one of the team managers on Method, they put out a tweet longer, and I just want to read a part of this. They say, "We are troubled by the way the announcement was made, namely the impolitic choice to use social media to share such a message that effectively ended the careers of hundreds of players, content creators, casters, production crews overnight, and broke the hearts of countless fans." And they also say, "We can confirm with heavy hearts we have disbanded Method, Here's the Storm, and issued termination agreements to our team members. We will do our best to support them during their transition into the next phase of their professional journeys." And that just shows, I mean, it's not only just the players, because you think about esports and you're like, okay, yeah, you have the people playing for the games, and, I could see them having their coaches, and then you have the businesses that, have the teams, but, I mean, the crew members, so all of the people running the production of the thing, so the people running all the cameras, the graphics, all of the editing and highlight, I mean, there's a whole group of people that aren't necessarily playing the game, they're just part of the thing. I mean, so many people lost their jobs, and we talk about stuff like the Walking Dead, Telltale Games, they just went out of business and then all the people lost their jobs. That's pretty much the same thing happened here, except it's because a business is just like, nope, we're canceling all of this, and they're not giving anybody any time to think about it. And I think it's really irresponsible for Blizzard to make a decision like this. And I'm not saying if they're not profitable and they need to cancel the Heroes of the Storm thing, they need to, I understand that it's a business. If they don't want to keep it, they shouldn't have to. I'm not saying that they should be required to keep the esports scene. They should keep paying. Unfortunately, their business decisions, I don't agree with them, but they're like, no, we don't want to do esports. But they cannot just tell everybody, oh yeah, it's canceled, all your jobs are gone, bye guys. I feel like they really should have, if they wanted to do it, they should have been respectful, and they should have at least been like, okay, we're gonna do a smaller season for 2019, and that's gonna be the last final season, or maybe we go out with a bang, but let people know that this is like a last season, because you're telling people a month before pretty much 2019 that the 2019 esports scene isn't going to be a thing, and I think that's really disrespectful, and it's really terrible, and I did not touch on it as much as I should have at all in my original video, and it is honestly making me angry, frankly. Not only the situation, how bad it is, but I didn't realize all of this making the original video. But that is pretty much it. I just wanted to finish the kind of story I was telling about the Heroes of the Storm getting put on life support, because in the video, like I've said a bunch of times, I don't feel like I covered the whole thing, and that is why I made this video. But if you guys enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below, subscribing to see more content. New videos come out every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, but I would love to hear your guys' opinions on this, because it's a pretty impactful thing. I know, most likely a lot of you guys out there aren't like the pros, and you're not people playing in the industry, but of course, if this did affect you, let me know. But I just would like to know your guys' opinions, just as someone watching from the outside like myself, how it all is working. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and see you guys next time.